Vanessa here with Paradox Comedy. Thanks for joining me today. I'm going to be interviewing Josh Murgel. He's a comedian here in San Diego. And before we get started, I do want to send my deepest condolences to Neil Nanda's fans and family. And he just passed away. It was reported this morning. He was found in New York. I guess he just moved out there, and he's been very successful. He's a very funny comic. It's so sad to see comics have a hard time, and it's just very sad. So my deepest condolences. It's a very tragic end for him. He's a funny guy. So today, let's go ahead and get started. Thanks everyone for joining. Oh, okay, we're doing this through. I'm hoping that's you, John. Oops. And if you guys can hear my dog, she's gnawing on this tree loud as hell. There you are. Hey.
Hi.
Thanks for joining me today. I'm excited.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
What's that?
Thanks for having
Oh,
me.
yeah. Of course. No problem.
Can you hear me okay?
Sorry, it keeps cutting out. Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you just fine. And I love the Christmas tree. It looks good.
A little festive touch,
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get started. I have been trying to talk with you for I think like at least 6 months.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad that we got to finally connect.
Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, no problem. So there's just a lot of questions that I have about who, Josh is. And
Okay.
So let's just get started.
Totally.
Because I don't think you're from San Diego originally. So where are you from and how long have you been in San Diego?
I was born in Washington D.C. but I was only there for about a year. And then I moved to Cleveland, which is where my dad's family's from, and grew up in Cleveland, Cleveland and like Akron.
Oh.
And then about 5.5 years ago, in 2018, I moved to San Diego. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. I just like visited a friend, and I was like, oh, this is sick. So I moved.
So when you started doing comedy, you'd already been here for a while. And what got you interested in doing comedy here or in San Diego?
I had not been doing comedy. I started in San Diego. Why did I start? I don't know. I had put it off for a long time. I had wanted to do it for a while. And so eventually, I guess it was like COVID, and I don't know. I was kind of, I was studying for my CPA during COVID, and it was like kind of my motivation. Like once I get this test done, it was just like a really brutal test, a lot of studying. Once I get it done, I can finally do comedy, and that helped like motivate me to get the test done, and then eventually got it done, passed in 2021, and then started comedy. So. Yeah, when my first open mic was at Madhouse.
Great.
So,
and how did that go?
Pretty bad. No, it was just like a really anxious experience. Like I went like right on time, whatever time that was, and waited like the full 3 hours without knowing like what the process was. So just kind of sitting there in anxiety for 3 hours. But yeah, actually the set I thought went pretty well. I got a few laughs, which is amazing for a first time, I think. So yeah, it went well. Did that a couple times, and then I was like, this waiting around is hard. So then just did bar mics for a few months, and then eventually came back to Madhouse once I figured out the system a little bit better.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's usually where I did see you regularly was there at Madhouse's open mic too.
Yeah.
And so. Yeah, I'm interested in hearing more because I was like, what do I not know? Because your clips, your promos, you're always like, it seems like a professional office. And I'm like, this guy's a CPA. Like, it's just I'm always interested in the day jobs that comics have, right? Because it's like, you have a completely different, comics have to have like, it's just a different lifestyle. You are out late at night, you're around a lot of drunk people, you're hearing a lot of things that you wouldn't hear, in a white collar profession, around the water cooler. So I just wonder, like for you, how are you able to like balance both of these lives? Do you find it hard to balance like, I'm out until, midnight at Madhouse and then I gotta do a report on quarterly blah blahs, whatever.
I do have a lot of those reports.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time consuming. I think it was tougher at first, but yeah, sort of figured it out. I'm actually really fortunate. My office is I'm like filled. It's like filled with like my friends,
Oh,
and even when I first started comedy, there's a good friend of mine, Drew, who I like wrote with at the office.
oh,
So yeah. So we were just like it was kind of a combination of both worlds, but um, yeah. So it like being at the office is kind of what's the word? Um, it gets me into the comedy spirit just even being there, and then I'll go to Madhouse or whatever and ride that like energy. Um, but yeah, so I think it would be harder if it was kind of a stiffer place. I think that would like kind of maybe suck some of the creative or like just general energy from me. But I think I'm able to kind of manage both because I'm at such a like a laid back, fun place. Um, but it's definitely yeah, like you said, it is definitely a lot of time that I have to put into both.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. And I just think it works like completely different parts of your brain too, because I feel like the CPAs that I've met have just been very logical, practical, and then comedy is obviously very performative, creative, and type of thing. So,
totally.
um, have you invited coworkers to come watch your sets? What
Oh
do they
yeah.
think about doing comedy?
Yeah, I think for my first ever show, I had like 50 coworkers, like probably
Okay.
40 to 50 coworkers come because they had never they heard about me starting comedy and then like they're like, oh, we want to come watch, and so I was able to um, kind of have this like grandiose opening, and so everyone could come see me. Um, but yeah, I mean, every show I have, I probably have like at least half a dozen friends from work that come and support. So yeah, they've been awesome and a big part of the journey, and it's been cool just to collaborate with them in that sense. But yeah, I do get that a lot. Like they're like, "What do you do during the day as an accountant?" They're like, "What accountant comedy? That's impossible." But uh, yeah, it is definitely two different worlds, and but they go together better than
You
than I would think. So
imagine. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, we also have like, dentists and doctors, and there's some attorneys in the comedy scene as
yeah,
well. And I think
yeah,
I find that really admirable. And like, oh, I guess the prejudice, or like the not the prejudice, but I guess like the stereotype that I imagined is like you're working in a stuffy office all day, so you have to
yeah,
like let loose in the creative world. But it sounds like you have a pretty nurturing, creative environment during the day too. So that's cool.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, definitely.
what kind of comics did you look up to that kind of inspired you, or like what exactly got you into comedy to begin with?
Well, my number one guy is Norm Macdonald, like by far. I actually back when I was in Cleveland, like we just like put all you could do is like watch TV during the winter. So I just remember I remember one winter binging him and like and Don Rickles randomly.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, just binging his podcast and just I love his style of like he like kind of messes with whoever he's talking to. He's kind of messing with them, and if they get it, they like it, and if they don't get it, they still like it. You know, like he's so funny. I love his style. Um, yeah.
Yeah, one of
So
your clips was very reminiscent of that. Of I
yeah.
think you were like in a bar and you like were like you went into the kitchen. You're like, did you guys think that was funny? Or, like you were just asking like the cooks in the
Oh yeah,
back
yeah,
if they like heard it.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, not what you expect from a comedy show.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Thanks.
That's what is your like? Have your parents got to see you, or your family got to come visit?
No, no, not yet. Actually, they live on the East Coast now. I'm gonna see them tomorrow in Maryland. But I gotta maybe try to book an open mic and see if they'll. I think they definitely want to, and they're supporters of the idea. And
Yeah. Have you performed outside of San Diego?
um, just like up in Orange. I think I went up to an Orange County show once, and like yeah, I've done a few mics when I do go visit my parents in Maryland. So I'm like I met like a dozen or so Maryland connections. So that's a pretty good scene too. DC, there's a lot of people there. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'd imagine so. What have what has been something that you were like surprised was so challenging about getting into comedy?
Nothing.
You
No, I'm kidding.
expected all of it.
Yeah, it's all easy. Um, kind of just like the roller coaster of it all. There's definitely just like having a great set at the Brick Room at Madhouse or a good show feels amazing, but then the next night can just you just have a terrible time and it like affects you drastically. So yeah, just kind of navigating that and um, yeah, I'd say that's like just the emotional intelligence and like um, kind of pushing me out of my comfort zone and from an emotional intelligence aspect of like how to navigate those ups and downs so drastically, and then just like the sort of the politics within the scene can be kind of overwhelming. So navigating that emotionally as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that you're probably the first person to say it so like eloquently because a lot of people have difficulty saying that it is the emotional intelligence that it's required
Yeah.
to, and it's like a very internal thing, but it is also very directly impacted by like your external, the validation that you're getting or not getting. But
Right.
I wonder like what is the what is do you ever just like wake up at 3 in the morning and you're like, oh my God, there was that one mic from 2022 in January that, or are you just like, it is what it is and I learned from it?
Yeah, I mean, more like maybe the recent like ones. I usually get over anything from the past because I kind of recognize my growth or whatever, um, and I know that, and I sort of realize all the valleys is where the growth comes from. So, like, I would say it's kind of a temporary setback, but yeah, nothing too crazy where I'm like waking up and can't sleep for a week or something.
Yeah. I'm always surprised by like comics who are like, oh gosh, there was this one show. It was like in
Oh
the
yeah, yeah,
very
yeah.
beginning when they went first started, and I'm like, literally nobody in the audience is thinking
Yeah,
about that ever
yeah,
again.
yeah, 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 yeah.
um,
When you realize people aren't thinking about you as much as you think they are, then you can move on.
yeah, there's a lot of freedom in that.
Totally.
And I think it's really cool that comics, especially, just have that 3 to 7 or 10 minute set, and like that's whenever the focus is on you, and then the focus is off. I think that sometimes comics get too like dwelled into like their feelings that they forget that they miss that part.
Yeah, true.
What has been one of the more like rewarding aspects of comedy?
The community, building community, just from a like personal aspect, like making friends through the comedy scene, and then just like through the shows, just like being able to put together a show and like hosting and bringing on X amount of comics who are excited to be there, and then like a ton of people that just really enjoy themselves. Just building that energy, I think, has been um, super fun, super fun, and I get to do it pretty frequently, and definitely the most rewarding aspect of it. And then like from an actual comedy side, just super fun to just be continue to be creative and like just the best part of comedy is like getting a new joke to work. That's the best like high that I probably receive. Because especially if you're working on it for a couple of weeks and you do this one little twist on it, one little modification, it makes it happen, and then you're just like, that was sweet. Yeah.
Has there been a show that you can think of that you're like, yes, I nailed it. Like from now on, like that's what I want to do better than, like, or like that's what I want to try to like continue to do over and over.
Um, yeah. So the beginning of this year was when I started bringing down like people from LA to headline, and like Ari Manis was the first one, and there was like 100 people there, and I was like, holy shit, this is unbelievable. So that became like kind of my new benchmark. Um, and then we had like shows outside of Thrusters for a couple times, for a few times, and then we brought it inside so that there was even more capacity. So like I had a show with Maddie Chimber, um, that was like even more people, and that became the new benchmark. Just like I don't know, it's fun to grow it, and So, but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I did want to get into your shows.
Okay.
So, your show producing the shows. So you have, and it's called a comedy show,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Couldn't think of anything else to call it. Yeah.
It's straight to the point. It's good for SEO, I'm sure.
Right.
All of that stuff. So, and you do this at
Yep.
Thrusters uh, in Pacific Beach.
Yeah.
It's a monthly show. I mean, you've had some great headliners. You recently had Adam Ray, you've had Chappelle Lacey, Brittany Schmidt, and one of my favorites is Madison Sinclair.
Nice. Yeah.
And then, of course, Ari Manis. So tell me about how you got started in producing shows. What kind of inspired you to do that?
Um, let's see. I guess I mean, I started with like an open mic. Only a few months after I started doing comedy, I just always wanted to, always
Yeah.
like to like host, like I was saying, like I like to host and like organize. So I just started doing an open mic. And then I don't know. Every time I progress into something else, it's really been inspired by people around me, like my support system, friends and family and girlfriend. And so I don't know. I don't exactly remember, but I think one of my friends at the time uh, um, advised me to take the mic, turn it into a show, and so yeah, like May of 22, I had my first show at Mission Brewery, and so I was doing like open mics there and then shows there as well, and yeah, that was the show I was talking about where I had like a bunch of people around me that came, and it was awesome. So. So then fast forwarding a little bit, I had a couple shows there and then moved to Pacific Beach, and I just thought Pacific Beach would be a great place to host shows. So just kind of did a lot of door to door like messaging and going into bars and trying to find like the new venue in Pacific Beach, and then just got connected with Thrusters through my neighbor. He was friends with them. I walked into Thrusters to meet the owner, and I was like, yeah, so I want to, he's like, hey, you want to do a comedy show? I was like, yeah. He's like, okay. This awesome dude named Denny. He's just awesome, and
Nice.
didn't need to hear anything else. He's like, yeah, add the show. I was like, okay. Um,
Awesome. Yeah.
so yeah.
Have you found like, yeah, I think something that is has always struck me about you and in your production of your shows is just you do seem very professional about it. Like it seems like you just have a natural like inclination for organizing things.
Thank you.
uh, yeah. So do you ever like, but at the same time, you're also very creative, you know, and like being funny. And
Yeah.
so do these things ever compete with each other where you're like, oh, I really would want to do more shows, but I'm producing shows, or like I'm, you know, is there ever that conflict?
Uh, um, no, I do really enjoy both. I do like I have like a I don't know. Ever since I was a kid, I had like an entrepreneurial spirit. So I think that's where kind of the show production comes from. And it was kind of eye opening where I was like, oh, I can apply my entrepreneurial like wants and combine it with comedy, which I absolutely love. So it's honestly just the perfect combination. Sometimes I feel like I'm overbooked with the production. So I mean, like for example, I'm co-producing the Thorn shows with Ben Keltner, so like he's helping out, so I'm able to split some of the work with him, and I'll probably continue to do that if I ever want to be more comedy focused. But um, yeah, I don't know. To answer your question, I like doing both, so it's fun to do both. Totally.
You mentioned earlier that one of the challenging aspects of comedy is like actually just navigating like the social scene and the politics of it that can come up.
Yeah.
How have you seen that changed now that you produce shows?
Um, um, it's a little different, for sure. Um, I think just kind of as you
I just
move,
put you on the spot. Sorry.
yeah, as you
And
move forward into any space, whether it's like a workspace or a place like comedy, you just slowly gain more respect, and so I do notice that happening, and so it does become easier, and but it's cool to, um, I don't know, work towards that, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that when I started Paradox, it started it with like fans in mind, and I just
Yeah.
really like doing stuff for fans. And when I like dipped my toe, because I had always just wanted to try producing a show, it is a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
organizing and stuff
Yeah, it
that
is.
I
Yeah.
just am not good at. And I tried that, and I did realize, like, I noticed like a shift in the community, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't like that, I don't want that again.
No, definitely.
So
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
you have to have a certain personality, a certain like it is really like a professionalism around it, to be
Totally,
able
exactly.
to, yeah, maintain, because you're also somebody who I hear people say good things about, like people do take you like seriously. There's like respect behind your name. It's not like you're just producing some half-ass show and like shitting on comics or anything like that. Like
Yeah.
it's like, oh, Josh has good shows. So that's really cool, and I think that that's also something that that I've always admired about the work that you put in. Because I'm like, good, at least he's getting some recognition for it.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I
Um,
definitely try to, put my best foot forward and yeah, deliver high quality because that's what people want. So, um,
have
yeah.
you been to any comedy shows lately, just as an audience member or a fan?
Where have I been? I want to say lately. I saw just a few shows this this year. I saw like Ali Makovsky at Mike Drop over the summer. Marcello from SNL at ACC. Um, I went up to the Comedy Store in LA this fall and saw who was there. Neil Brennan. That was awesome. I hadn't been up to the LA Comedy Store in a long time, so that was like electric. That was such a cool energy there that they have there. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, I think I'm gonna go to the one of the Netflix shows this upcoming May though. So
How fun. Do you think you'd
yeah,
ever move up to LA, or are you pretty settled like in
I
India?
I mean, I really love San Diego. I think it's perfect. Yeah, I like the people, and I don't know. I like it here a lot. I like the beaches and the culture here. So I don't know. I know that LA is completely different. Austin's completely different. New York's completely different. But I'm a pretty open-minded person, so I wouldn't like close the door to any idea. But I haven't really thought about it yet. I'm just focusing on just getting better at comedy right now.
Yeah, because I crossed my mind. I was like now I'm like in the Inland Empire area right now. Actually, I
Okay.
moved out
Okay.
from San Diego, but
Nice.
I was like, there's not a ton of independently produced shows, and I'm like,
Oh,
it would
really?
be so cool to see like Josh like do like expand into other cities and
Yeah.
like other places in Southern California and create this little empire, because you have like a system almost in place, it seems like. Whereas a lot of other people, and I think that it's mostly because you're like newer to it, or like so like fresh in the scene, I guess, that
Yeah.
I was surprised, because I thought you'd been doing it for like years.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah, so I was like, oh, okay, he's got this. Oh, we got a question that came in through Aaron. Do you have any advice to get people to buy tickets to your shows? Just like all the work.
Nope. Uh,
Tell us your secret.
yeah, I would say, I mean, I've tried so many different marketing techniques. Every show is like a live and you learn type of thing. So I definitely try to do different things throughout. Flyers and barking are the two most effective things by far, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, and just getting out and meeting with the people. Do you think you have to be an extrovert to be a good comic or a producer?
Uh, Probably extrovert to be a good barker. I think that's sort of my. I have some sales background that's helped me with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
but I don't think it's not limited. It's not. It doesn't limit introverts to do it. There's a lot of super successful introverted salespeople, um, but I think it comes easier for an extrovert. But yeah.
Something else that I enjoy about your shows is like you do have a good, like a pretty diverse like lineup. Like I rarely see. I mean, some people produce shows and they have the exact same lineup every freaking month.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it is just
yeah,
over and over with the same group. It's like we get it, you guys are friends. Like,
yeah.
you and Elsa Tanner show. But you do tend to like rotate comics in and out. Like, what is something that you're looking for? Like, are you looking at comics like as a fan? Like, oh, this person makes me laugh, or like I just like their thing, or like, oh, I see the work that they put in behind the scenes. Like, how do you pick who a good comic on a show could be?
That's a good question. I just um yeah, I just kind of keep my eyes peeled. Like, so Madhouse is where I typically go, like we were talking about earlier, and I just kind of keep my eyes peeled on other shows and stuff. Um, Talking to people, seeing who's putting in work, yeah, seeing who's improving, seeing who's getting like um, noticed and who should have a good shot. Like just kind of through the networking, honestly, just like again, my support system, my other comic friends, like or getting recommendations. I'm working more with LA, so like Cameron Frost or whatever will send me a recommendation and I'll take a look. Like, but yeah, just definitely trying to keep the idea is to keep it fresh. It's just like comedy. Like you don't want to do the same 3 minutes all year. You want to keep working on it. So keeping the shows with a new look, or giving the show a fresh take every show is kind of the goal. But yeah, just kind of keeping my eyes open and just talking to people and watching comedy and um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good because I do know like you don't also just stick to like one type of comic or I'm just always I appreciate that in lineups because it's like sometimes the first comic's not for you, but like the second one will be great, and
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
sometimes if there's just like all comics with the same style or the same sense of humor, it can get pretty boring, even if they are funny.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And then
um
to that point, like, yeah, I don't necessarily book who I necessarily think is my style because I know I have a specific
yeah.
style. So I'll just it's more I try to be as objective as possible. Who's like doing well and who's getting laughs, and then again also, yeah, like it's good to have a range within the show. So it's good to have dark and then super light or whatever.
Yeah,
But yeah.
very smart. How much time do you have now?
Uh, Oh, how many? Probably solid 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
No, uh,
Solid 2 hours.
maybe 10. Yeah, solid 10, I would say.
Solid 10. And so now you've been doing it for about 2 years.
Yeah, yeah, 2 years. Yeah.
Um, have you, what is your thought? Because I feel like you were posting like on social media, like more
Yeah,
clips, but like as I
yeah,
was scrolling, like I feel like those are all gone now or something.
yeah. I kind of hit them up from my first page.
Oh,
There's a,
okay.
but I definitely don't do that like I used to. I'm just trying to kind of develop creatively before I kind of go back to that. I do know that's like an important thing. It's advertising essentially, so it is important. But I'm not like literally every time I went to Madhouse, I would prop my phone up and record and watch, which I think that's a good idea. I should probably get back to that for my own self reflection and development. But yeah, in terms of actually recording and posting. I'm just put a little pause on that until I just want to continue to get like comfortable, get even more comfortable on stage. And that's kind of my goal of next year is just to continue to grow that comfort on stage so I can navigate more situations.
Have there been any situations when you are on stage, like with a heckler or something, where you're just like, oh, that could have gone better? Or like, I need, like, do you have any stories about like a specific instance that you've had performing
Yeah,
where
I
it's
think
like,
I give the best response every time. Um,
it's always goes
uh,
flawlessly.
yeah, it's perfect. No, yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, 20% of the time I would say I would be like, ah, shit, could have said that. That would have been funny. But I do like interacting. I do like do the crowd work. I don't mind hecklers. I think it's fun. And so I think I can navigate those situations pretty well and find humor in like the contrast of like some drunk lady who doesn't like her life right now.
Right.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't know. So that's why I want to keep working at that skill set along with the writing and stuff too.
Yeah. Have you ever had any instances where you get off the stage though and they're still going at it, or like
Oh,
you said something kind of controversial and now you're
any
like,
little
okay.
stories? Nah, nothing too bad or nothing too crazy that I can think of. For me, I've definitely seen it with other people.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah. Some of
people,
those.
yeah, some people, especially in Madhouse, people are just pretty drunk from being in downtown or in Gaslamp. So brings in some interesting characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a comic who's pretty, I mean, she's pretty big. She got like, maybe like 40K followers or something.
Yeah.
And she like very badly like badmouth Madhouse and on her
Oh
podcast.
wow.
But it's just because of the crowd, the audience there gets so drunk
Yeah.
sometimes. And
Yeah.
it's like, it's not the club's fault, but it's just like people are already down there drunk. But
Right.
she's still doing, so I always feel bad, especially as watching female comics go up there. I think probably for men it's maybe a little bit different, but
Yeah.
in 2024, what's a goal that you have in mind for next year where you're like, I just want to do this one thing in comedy, like performance wise for you, like you're like, oh, I want to get solid, I want to work up to 15, or like I want to book this club, or or do a show at this club or anything. Do you have anything like that?
Nothing objective really. Maybe I can develop that. I just like try to do kind of one foot in front of the other, small little goals. Um, like I just like every week I try to work on one new joke. So I just want to continue with that, and I think with that, what goes along with that would be just developing just more of a comfort, which is kind of a vague thing, but I don't know. It is cool to look at a video from a year ago and then a video from yesterday and be like, oh, sick. That's so different. Um, but yeah, I think just develop kind of maybe just 2024, maybe just coming up with like a brand new five to pull a five out for my last. I got so I guess 15
Yeah.
things we'll call it. Yeah,
Yeah, no, I think I think especially audiences don't realize like how much work goes into even coming up with like 10.
I know. Yeah.
So I think that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you too, can you
Sure.
tell us about what is this new show that you got coming up?
Oh
I think
yeah.
it is at Madhouse.
Yeah,
Oh
it's at
shoot, I just
Madhouse.
wrote it down. What is it called?
American Icon.
American Icon.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell me.
And Andrew Parker kind of came up with like, well, we were just talking, and he wanted to kind of do like a, what do you call it? Sort of a themed show. And so we were talking about it, and we were thinking about doing like a just like a musical, like a karaoke type of thing with the panel, and that kind of progressed into a talent show. And I was like, oh yeah, talent show. That sounds so like fun. And so yeah, the idea is. Yeah, like on the Eventbrite and on the posting, you can email us at madamericanicon@gmail, and then we're going to look at all the submissions. We're going to pick like 10 submissions. Like it's going to be anywhere from magic to music to whatever random stuff that people come up with, and maybe we'll have like one or two comedy acts too. They'll perform, and then we're going to tell them if they're good or if they suck. So,
Nice. Yeah, that
yeah.
sounds fun. And that is
Yeah.
in January.
Yeah, January 25th will be the first one.
And are you guys gonna do like someone's gonna be like the Simon Cowell one,
Yeah,
someone's gonna be the Paula?
exactly. Yeah. So that Gabe Ramirez will be the third panelist. He said he had dibs on Randy Jackson. So
There you go.
he
Yeah.
wants to say his catchphrase, I guess. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
it'll
Gabe
be
is funny.
Gabe's sweet.
We got another question from Aaron. And by
Okay.
the way, anyone who is checking this out, make sure you follow and watch and listen to Aaron's podcast as well. He's got one based out of Madhouse. So he said, have you ever done improv?
Yeah, I did do improv in 2022 as well. So I just figured like that'd be a good way to kind of break out of my shell a little bit. And yeah, I did it at Finest City in Hillcrest. I did 3 levels of it. Um, yeah, and it did do that, and it was awesome. I met like we became really close, and then I took a trip. I took a long like month trip in 2022, and they said I missed too many classes to move on to level 4. So I'm still grieving that, but
Yeah.
no, it's fine. I think that was a good experience to do it for like 6 or so months to do it, and it was fun. Totally learned a lot about just being impromptu, I guess.
Yeah. What did you feel how do you feel like that differs most from comedy, doing stand-up comedy? Because I feel like people tend to lump it in one class, but they're very different things.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, some people think it's the same thing too. They're like, "Oh, how's improv going?" I'm like, "I do stand up."
Yeah.
But uh, it's completely different. I mean, it's
You're like, where do I start? They're like
yeah,
completely
yeah.
different
It's
things.
I mean, it's team oriented. It's like feeling out the other person and just being impromptu on the spot versus um, stand up is way more individualistic. You're a lot of people write independently, and then you obviously perform independently, and you don't have to. It's cool in that sense where you could just it's just you instead of improv having to kind of read the other person and evaluate and like know where to take the scene. But they both serve like as awesome in their own awesome way, because they are so different. But yeah, both fun.
Do you have any shows coming up that we should know about besides that American Icon?
Uh, Coming up is I'm hosting a Madhouse weekend for the first time, the first weekend back after the new year, so the 5th and 6th.
Okay.
And then I'll be producing a show on the 5th too. So since I'm doing Madhouse, Ben Keltner will be kind of taking over with that. And that's at Thorn Brewing Co. in Barrio Logan. Free show.
Who's headlining Madhouse yeah, that weekend?
I don't think I know. No, I don't think I
Oh,
know.
okay.
Yeah, probably somebody funny.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
hope so.
yeah, yeah.
um, watched that comedian I was just telling you about who said
Yeah,
she hated Madhouse.
right.
Um, and Thorn Brewing, if I understand, are there two locations for that?
Yeah, there
Okay.
is. So the open mic is at the North Park location, 3176 Thorn Street. That one's just like it's got a cute little bar up front, and then you go up the stairs, and there's a huge area. I don't know if have you been to that one?
No, I haven't.
Okay. That one's a little more like quaint and like yeah. And then the one you've been to is the Barrio Logan one. That's like their main brewery where they actually brew the beer, and so there's all the barrels and stuff. And then off to the side is that patio where we have the shows. So Thorn Street in North Park is the Thursday open mic, and then first and third Friday of every month is the Barrio Logan Thorn Brewing Co. So
All right. Yeah, I thought I remember when I was going down there, I was like, wait, is it in North Park? I just knew it was in Barrio Logan, so
yeah.
that's good to know. What has been oh, actually I already asked you that. Just kidding. I think I'm all out of questions. Is
Okay.
there anything else? What's your next comedy show that you have coming up?
That one's the Barrio Logan one on the 5th. Oh, but at Thrusters, I don't have anything scheduled yet.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, Marshall, you can calm down. All right, that's cool. So I think that's all that I've got. Is there anything that else that we should know about you before we log off today? I'm really glad and thank you again for doing this. I know I've been asking you for a while. So.
No, yeah, that was fun. Thanks for having me. Nothing. No, I think we covered all the stuff.
Cool. Thank you again. I just want to
Yeah,
again give you a ton of credit and just
thanks.
for all the work that you do. And I see some people doing good things, and like you're one of them. You really put a lot of effort into what you do to not just like you know, build yourself up, but to actually add something to the community.
Yeah,
And it has made an impact. And I really kind of see you like stepping up to kind of become like, you know, everybody kind of sees like PB Backyard as like this great show that everybody wants to do because they put a lot of effort into it. It's a quality show.
definitely.
And I feel like you're on your way to like being one of those shows too, like regularly. And so I just think that it's great what you do. And I really appreciate the comedy and all the work that you put into your own stand-up
Yeah,
stuff too, because and how you do that with time management. I don't know. You're a pro, that's for sure. So
thanks.
I wish you all the best in 2024. And I'd love to, I'm going to continue following you and seeing what you do. And I hope you'll get to the show again soon.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thanks for all those kind words. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Of course.
Yeah, it's cool. There's so much talent in San Diego, so it's cool to be able to kind of cultivate that through shows and like show people that San Diego has like just a funny ass scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally agree. All right. Thanks so much, Josh. Have a good rest
Thank
of
you.
your day and year.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
See ya.
Thanks everyone for joining us.
Thank you.